All right, people, it's your boy Spank Dog, aka Puffinstein at YouTube. Like, comment, share, subscribe. You already know. Let's get right into it. First things first, feel free to comment. Let it loose, man. If you know about basketball, prove it. You know what I'm saying? And not even like that, just so everybody could, politic about the playoffs, about even regular season, about favorite players, even about just anything that has to do with hoops. So with that being said, we're gonna start talking about the playoffs first. And it's been a good playoff so far. The playoffs have been good so far. You know, I couldn't ask for more. You're starting to see the changing of the guard. Like I said, drop a comment, feel free. But you're truly seeing a changing of the guard. You got to think about it. Kobe, 5 rings. That was probably the earliest of the bunch. Stephen Curry, 4 rings. First of all, Kobe, rest in peace also. But Stephen Curry, 4 rings. LeBron, 4 rings. Kobe, 5 rings. Kawhi Leonard, 2 rings. Um, Kevin Durant, 2 rings, but a person that I truly believe should have more than 2 rings. Just like I believe LeBron should have more than 4 rings. I feel like Kevin Durant should have 4 rings and LeBron should have at least 6. And that's a fact. That's just how I feel. But circumstances matter. You can't act like the way things unfolded don't play into the whole NBA thing, period. Jason Tatum tearing his Achilles. Look at DeJounte Murray tearing his Achilles. There was another big name player that tore his Achilles recently, also that it killed me. Tyrese Halliburton. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy because I got the jump off right here. I didn't plan that. He was just at the top of the pile. But yeah, man, Tyrese Halliburton get better. Those torn Achilles are crazy. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Jason Tatum, DeJounte Murray, Tyrese Halliburton, those are all superstars that tore their Achilles, and that just changes the trajectory of everything. The Jason Tatum's the one that's gonna suffer the most because he won a ring. He was the number one option. A lot of people are gonna say Jalen Brown won Western Conference Finals MVP. Jalen Brown won Finals MVP. That's nice. That's all. That's all good. Much love to Jalen Brown, but let's not forget that the season they won the title, Jason Tatum averaged 28 points per game, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and was in the top 10 rankings in the league, while Jalen Brown averaged like 21 points a game, 20 points a game, and was like 42nd in the rankings for the whole year. So you cannot act like they didn't balance each other out. Yo, what's up, Matt? Trying to catch them comments the minute people drop them. That's one of my things, that people would drop a comment and I didn't catch it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, big shout out to Matt Ritchie for showing up. You already know what it is. Much love. I forgot if you're into hoops or not. And regardless, you're welcome. I appreciate your company, whether you're into hoops or not. You know what I'm saying? But the playoffs is popping right now. Victor Wembanyama knocked out. No, he didn't knock out. Did he? Yes, he did. The team he knocked out yesterday. Why does it escape me like this? I hate that. Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves, was it? Let me check because I don't mind checking out. You know what I'm saying? What's going on? But the Knicks, the Thunder, the Spurs, they all have advanced, and the Cavs and the Pistons are still fighting. You know what I'm saying? Cade Cunningham. It's crazy. I was talking about the changing of the guard. I don't, I'm a topic jumper. I told y'all people before. I'll start talking about one thing. I won't finish that point, and I'll be on to like topic number 7 without finishing the other 6 topics as well. You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna try to stick to the points and finish them. It does feel like a changing of an era. If you think about all the people that won rings, like I was saying before, LeBron, Steph, Kobe, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, they're all about to retire. All the guys that won multiple rings, because most of the time when a player wins a ring, he wins a second one at least. If you think about it, the guys I just named, they ran all the rings that came in the last 20 years went to Kobe, maybe Tim Duncan. You get what I'm saying? Like Dwayne Wade got 3, LeBron got 4, Steph got 4, Kawhi got 2, Kevin Durant got 2, and that's just what it is. A single ring, it doesn't happen often. So because, well, first of all, I'm a Knicks fan. You know what I'm saying? I don't got the hat on because it didn't match. The 2 blues are different. You know what I'm saying? But that's my team right there. You know what I'm saying? New York representative. I'm so NYC. I really love New York. I really care about New York. And even though LeBron James and Luka Doncic are my favorite players at the moment, I would never root against New York. I don't care who they're playing. You get what I'm saying? My 2 favorite players are on the same team, and if the Lakers played the Knicks, I would be hoping the Knicks crush the Lakers. You know what I'm saying? So but what everybody got to realize too is the first person. Well, Jokic, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. I thought that we would have seen Jokic or Giannis Antetokounmpo burst out with more rings already, but it just hasn't happened. But they got a lot of career left. Joel Embiid is one of the guys that tasted getting a ring. Devin Booker and Jimmy Butler as well, but not like Joel Embiid, man. It's to the point where, it's not easy to feel bad for a man who calls himself Troll Embiid. You get what I mean? He's got a little creepy. He's not creepy, but he's a little bit of me. He's a little mean. He's a little bit of a creep. You know what I'm saying? All right, big shout out to LV Hammer. Though Denver also, I hope Joel gets a ring next year. Yeah, I feel you on that. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy that you said that, man, because I know I got him here somewhere. Yeah, I thought he was gonna win this year too. This is a nice one of them. Matter of fact, I got 2 nice ones right there. This one right here is limited to 99. There's only 99 of those in the world. If you could see it, I have a hard time getting the. But anyway, you get the point. And then this one is it the same card? Yeah, they're the same card. And yeah, when in that game 7, when he did what he did, I forgot who he destroyed. He made it out, and then they swept him. Who was it that swept? Can't believe he had an appendix thing right at the time of the playoffs. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Yeah, man, Joel Embiid got it rough, man. You know what it is, too? Sometimes when you're that big a person, your body, it's hard for your body to hold up. You look at guys like Jokic, Wembenyama, Kristaps Porzingis. Those guys, to be that tall and do what they do, it's amazing. Victor Wembanyama is the craziest thing I've ever saw. I'm sorry, because at first you think that a 7'4" guy is gonna be clumsy, but there's nothing clumsy about Victor Wembanyama, and I can't believe it. You know what I'm saying? I can't believe it. I can't believe that a guy who's 7'4" don't trip over his own feet. He's the most graceful big man. And I mean, when I say big man, that's not your average big man. He's taller than Shaq. He's taller than Tim Duncan. He's taller than everybody. The only person that's around his height that ever looked that unicornish, you know how they call them unicorns, was Kristaps, and he suffered a lot of injuries, but the changing of the guard is happening. Get ready to see your second ring winner. Right now, the thing is that I'm rooting for the Knicks, of course. But if the Knicks lose, I ain't going to lie, I would like to see SGA get his second ring, to be the first of the new batch that was able to do it twice. Because Tatum, he won that ring with Jalen Brown. Then the crazy thing is I don't hate on Jalen Brown because I like Jason Tatum. Jalen Brown, when Jason Tatum was hurt, the stats are crazy. Look, I'm gonna show you something real quick. This is show you guys something. All right. Trying to get them right because all right, this is it. All right, you see the stats right there, right? Now, if you go down, right, here it goes right here. All right, now I'm gonna see if I can stretch the screen. Yes, I can do it. All right, now look at Jalen Brown. Let me see how it looks in your guys' view. Yes, all right. Look at Jalen Brown, what he did in Jason Tatum's absence. This is 20. Now, remember, mind you, this is a guy that never averaged over 23, 24 points per game, 25 points per game. And in the last year before Tatum got hurt, he only averaged like 21, 22 points per game, while Jason Tatum averaged 28, 29 points per game. But Jason Tatum went out. And in his absence, Jalen Brown proved that he can be a franchise cornerstone and he can be a number one option, no doubt. So look at Jalen Brown right here. Jason Tatum's hurt. And I'm going to tell you something. The defense can lock in on you when you don't have another superstar. When you have a superstar, they can't double team as much. But when you only got one superstar, they can double team. They could triple team. They must have been all over Jalen Brown. He still averaged 28.7 points per game, 6.9 rebounds per game, 5.1 assists per game. And he did it on 47% shooting. Now, that's what you call crushing it. That's what you call. All right, let me look at some of these too. Victor Wembanyama, Victor Wembanyama don't only make threes, he puts the ball on the. Oh, there you go. All right. Matter of fact, I'm gonna highlight your comment. It's a good comment. Let's read that comment. Vic makes threes, handles the ball. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar earlier. Brown was close to MVP level. Yeah, Jalen Brown is a player who can be an MVP. Yeah. First of all, look, you got to think about it. When a man wins Western Conference Finals over the first option, then wins Finals MVP over the first option, then the first option goes out with a torn Achilles, and the second option plays just like the first option did, that tore his Achilles in Jason Tatum. Yeah, you got a guy that's special, and he got a ring. That's the biggest thing out of everything. I noticed you could get MVP, you could win the scoring title. Those are beautiful accolades, really beautiful accolades. But the ring, it's special. It doesn't. Nothing tops the ring. That's just what it is. And it's not me who made it like that, but I understand it. If you don't make it to the end and win, the one thing about the ring is that you see a superstar make other players better, you know, or they come together, chemistry, formula. You get what I'm saying? Let me read some of these other comments. Josh Hart when Brunson was out. Yeah, Josh Hart's nasty. I think he's underrated. There's certain players that I think are underrated. There's quite a few actually. Jalen Brown was one of them. But Josh Hart is underrated. There's tons of people that are underrated. Um, let's look through the thing real quick. Oh, Jalen Johnson is underrated. That's a definite. Jalen Johnson was the seventh best player in the world this year, ranked by ESPN, seventh in the world. The kid averaged 22 and a half points, 10.3 rebounds, and 7.9 assists per game. And he did that on 49% shooting, which is pretty much 50%. Jalen Johnson is underrated. Cade is finally, people are seeing what Cade is finally. Let's see who else is underrated. Denny Avdija, people are finally, I know about, I don't mean to be like that. Like I know about him before everybody else, but I'm really into this. You see, I collect, I invest. It's my duty to know about the cards and about the NBA. So the people I'm gonna name some of the most underrated players in the NBA right now. Denny Avdija, Alperen Şengün, Lauri Markkanen, you know, Austin Reeves. He could have done better in those playoffs, but when you get to the playoffs, sometimes you just get nervous and you choke. I've seen a lot of people. I've seen the best players in the world choke. The biggest, and LeBron, I told you LeBron at the beginning was my favorite player with Luka Doncic, but that don't mean he didn't choke with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh in the first finals. I think nerves killed their chance. And not to take nothing from Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk Nowitzki is one of the greatest players to ever touch a basketball. So big shout out to Dirk Nowitzki. Josh Giddey's underrated. Paolo Banchero's underrated, even though people know about him. He had a bad season last year, but he was dealing with injuries. Even though he played 72 games, Michael Porter Jr. is underrated, but people finally seen what it was because he got to Brooklyn and he showed he could be a franchise cornerstone. That's his first year there. Don't expect him to take anybody to the playoffs. And he needs a second star, But he got a ring with Denver also. Don't sleep on Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr., if he didn't land on the Denver Nuggets and they decided, you know what, even though you're that good, we're going to put you almost as a role player. Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. shared that third option spot, you could say. It was Jamal Murray's second option, the Nikola Jokic first option. I'm going to get to the comments in a second, too, because I'm looking at a different screen just in case anybody wrote something. So Scotty Barnes is underrated. Eamon Thompson's underrated. Trey Murphy III is underrated. Walker Kessler only had 5 games, but I believe Walker Kessler has a very high ceiling, a lot of potential. Domantas Sabonis is underrated. He was injured last year, though. Tyler Herro is underrated. Chet Holmgren ain't really underrated, but I'm going to tell you something. Chet Holmgren on another team wouldn't be putting up 17 points. You know what I'm saying? Chet Holmgren, I believe, on a team that doesn't have, a superstar, like a super duper star, he'd be the first option. And just to bring this up out of nowhere, people, let me check the comments real quick. All right, cool. So, but check it out. I want to talk about Ja Morant real quick. I know we're supposed to be talking about the playoffs. This is gonna be a pretty long live, so we're gonna get to tons of things as long as my lady don't tell me she needs help with my kid, and as long as I got the energy, you know what I'm saying. It was a long day, but that's neither here nor there. We're gonna rock and roll. I'm here to really go live. So hold on 1 second, please. Let's see. Let's bring it back to the layout, the way I created it. But Ja Morant, man, listen. Ja Morant, you are one of the most talented people I've ever seen just disappear. This reminds me of like the Stephon Marbury thing, you know? And I don't want it to be where Ja Morant misses another year. You know, he's gotta really feel like he messed up. It can't be like whatever. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, you can't pound that young man to the point where you don't give him a shot. Certain things, first of all, youth plays into it. I'm pretty sure, he comes from a place where there's, negative influences and stuff. And, I'm from Bedford-Stuyvesant, so I know what that's about. And, then I went to Bushwick, you know what I'm saying, and Ridgewood. And even though Ridgewood was a little bit better, the influence still be there. You could be in a decent neighborhood, but, the pressure, the peers, the influence, it's still around. In Ridgewood, I got into more crazy stuff than I did when I was in Bushwick and Bed-Stuy. That's a fact. But Ja Morant, man, I really want to see him come back. You know what I'm saying? I really want to see Ja Morant come back. He's been through a ton. They deaded him this year. He got suspended for the firearms. And I think that they should give the kid a chance next year. He's not a kid; he's a grown man, I know, but he's still young. They say that a human brain doesn't stop develop until 26. And when I was 26, 27, 28, I'd still made mistakes that I wouldn't make now. You know what I'm saying? Give the kid a chance, man. I seen them tell a story, right, where he was in college. And he told his coach, look, they're gonna, do like be drawn to me. So give the ball to this guy and then I'll break, to the basket and then throw the ball to me and we'll win the game. Some stuff like that. And it executed. And the crazy thing is that this is a 17-year-old kid, 18-year-old kid, 19-year-old kid telling the coach. And the coach trusted him enough to run the play. So, the kid is a basketball genius. And all, like Stephen A. Smith and him got into it. They was talking about Stephen A. Smith, man, listen, I don't want to spend the time on this live on Stephen A. Smith. I don't even like saying his name too often because sometimes when you try to blow somebody up, you actually put them in the limelight. So, like, I'll keep it simple. Stephen A. Smith tried to go hard on Ja Morant. And even if some of the stuff he said was true, he's not a person that I respect enough to, like, listen to what he got to say about what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Stephen A. Smith got issues himself he needs to address. And I'll leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? So but the back to the playoffs, the changing of the guard has happened. Look at who's in the finals. Where do you see any ring winners? Only Shai. And the crazy thing is I was telling people, if you go get a chance, go to my channel and check out the Souls of Sports playlist. I made a Souls of Sports that's called the four number ones, something like that. You'll see it. It's about number one draft picks, how they finally got them right, because a lot of time they picked draft picks and they wasted the pick. I'm hoping Zachary Risashare pans out as a number one pick, but Anthony Edwards, Cade Cunningham, um, Karl-Anthony Towns, even though he was picked a while ago, he's in the playoffs. Um, who else is in it that's a number one pick? Oh, Victor Wembanyama. They finally starting to get the number one picks right. You shouldn't waste your number one pick. And no disrespect, but Anthony Bennett is one of the most talked about number one picks that was absolutely wasted. But there's been more, way more. Markel Fultz, I believe that there was something going on with that shoulder. But then I also think that he didn't deserve to be picked first neither. You get what I mean? So, but the changing of the guard has happened. We got Jalen Brunson, because what's the crazy thing? A lot of people don't realize that Karl-Anthony Towns is not the number one option on the Knicks. You know what I'm saying? Brunson is. Brunson, he was ranked 16th in the world last year, while Karl-Anthony Towns was ranked number 26. I'll tell you the exact rankings. Last year, Jalen Brunson was ranked 18th in the NBA, while Karl-Anthony Towns was ranked 26th, which is awesome. To have the 18th best player on the planet and the 26th best player on the planet on the same team. Not to mention OG Anunoby's lights out. I mean, lights out. He's shooting 63% from the field right now. And I think he's averaging like 20 points in the playoffs. So imagine 20 points a game on 63% shooting or something like that. That's insane, But yeah, Karl-Anthony Towns, he's a great player, and he's definitely anchoring the defense. So it's hard to be the number one option and be like a Rudy Gobert type of defensive player. But yeah, man, Jalen Brunson is that number one. I want to bring up the postseason leaders. So give me 1 second. The thing with the postseason leaders is it's hard to sort them to get the best results. So I got to go by most games played, because in the playoffs, if you play 13 games, that means you're in the final rounds. If a guy who only played 6 games got good stats, it doesn't matter. He got knocked out in the first round. You know what I mean? So right now, guys like James Harden, destroying it. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, let's do it like this, because I really want to let you guys know. See, Jokic was doing the best, but he got knocked out in the first round. So, but Cade Cunningham is destroying it right now. Right now, Cade Cunningham, the game 7 is tomorrow. That's going to be a great game. I love Donovan Mitchell. First of all, Donovan Mitchell and the Cavaliers have a hell of a squad. Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, and James Harden. That's sick. James Harden and Donovan Mitchell are both Hall of Famers. Evan Mobley has potential to be a Hall of Famer. He won Defensive Player of the Year, and then you also got I just said his name, Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, and Jared Allen. And Jared Allen's made an all-star game before, and he's a hell of a defensive player. The Cleveland Cavaliers, if it wasn't for the Pistons having a 60-22 record and Cade Cunningham playing lights out, I would have thought the Cavaliers would win tomorrow. But I'm gonna be honest with you. If you ask me who's gonna win tomorrow, and the crazy thing is that because the Pistons went down 3-2, only a few teams have come back from a 3-2 deficit in the conference finals, not in the whole playoffs. But 3-2 isn't as easy as people think when it's that deep into the playoffs. So Donovan Mitchell, history dictates he's gonna win. I don't know, man. Listen to what Cade is doing in the playoffs. Cade Cunningham over 13 games in the playoffs, right? He's averaging 29.3 points per game. He has a bit of turnovers, but yeah, his turnovers are bad. That's part of the reason why they're maybe in this spot. If he could have took care of the ball more, because there's no way you could say 6 turnovers a game is okay. You get what I mean? Yeah. They wouldn't be in this spot if he took better care of the ball. But still, he lights out. Because remember, his ranking is high. So that means the things that he's done makes up for the turnovers. 29.3 points per game. Almost 8 assists. So that's 29 and 8. 5 rebounds to go along with that. 1 steal per game. His field goal percentage could be a little higher. He's shooting 44% for the field, but I'm going to explain that a little bit. He's launching a ton of threes. So when you're shooting 44%, but you're knocking down 3 3-pointers per game, that's not so bad. You understand? So Cade Cunningham is one of the people I want to mention. Victor Wembanyama, for only 20 points per game, but 10.7 rebounds. And this is the real killer. For people who know about basketball, the man is averaging 4 blocks per game. 4 blocks per game. And I'm going to get to the comments. Don't worry about it. If there's any comments, I'm going to check right now. But Victor Wembanyama is going crazy. 20 points per game, almost 11 rebounds per game. As a big man, 2.4 assists ain't bad. And 4 blocks a game, that's crazy. People don't understand how important that is. Because if you're blocking 4 shots per game, how many shots are you altering? Because a person will go to the hole, go to lay it up, and he's gonna make them miss, even though he didn't get a piece of it. So it also has to do with shot alterations. You get what I'm saying? So big shout out to Wembanyama. Karl-Anthony Towns is doing fantastic. 17 points a game, but this is the thing. While Wembanyama, who has a great field goal percentage at 54%, 53.8, I mean, 0.538, let's just say 53%, 54% if you round it off. All right, Karl-Anthony Towns is shooting 59% from the field while scoring 17 points a game. That's great. To score 17 points a game while having a field goal percentage of 59% is insane. And mind you, he has help in OG Anunoby. So it's not like where he's scoring 17 points and they're like, we need more from you. That Knicks team is a full unit. They remind me of the Detroit Pistons a little bit that won it with Chauncey Billups and Rasheed Wallace. But the difference is that Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns are more certified superstars than any of those Pistons were, I believe. So, but after that, we're going to talk about OG Anunoby. 21 points per game, more than 20 points. He's averaging 21.5 points per game, and he's shooting 61% from the field. Now, what's ridiculous about that is he's knocking down almost 3 3-pointers per game. That's insane. That's crazy. He's one of the ones, he's the most biggest X factor underrated player in the playoffs right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to check the comments real quick. All right, cool. So, but, give me 1 second. The Knicks haven't won a title since 1973. You get what I'm saying? So, like, you already know, man. The crazy thing is that I was there for the Patrick Ewing, missed finger roll against the Rockets, I believe. And I was there for the Allen Houston, Latrell Sprewell, Marcus Camby Knicks that lost against Tim Duncan and them, I believe. That was their first win, I believe. It was the Twin Towers. I think that's before Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili got there. Not certain, though. Don't quote me on that. But, I've been watching the Knicks and waiting forever. I went through the Carmelo Anthony days, Amari Stoudemire, Stephon Marbury, everything, and I think they have a shot. It's going to be the Knicks either against the Pistons or the Cavs, and we could take them. All right. So, we've been starving for this moment, man. It's been, I think it's 60 years, but I think it's like 56 years or something like that. But that's insane. What are we in? They won it in 73. So 73, that would be 27 and 26. We haven't won it in 56, 57 years. Madison Square Garden, man, home games mean a lot for the Knicks, man. Hopefully we end up winning at, away. So when we go home, we definitely got a better shot when we're at home. Brunson's only 6'2". That's what I wanted to mention. Guys like Donovan Mitchell and guys like Jalen Brunson, they're really, people don't understand how different it is for a guy like Jalen Brunson and a guy like Donovan Mitchell to do what guys like Victor Wembanyama, guys like Ant-Man, guys like LeBron James, what they do, to see Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell do that type of stuff, it's very impressive because size matters in the NBA. And 6'2", you gotta go harder. I say 6'2" and under, it changes things. 6'3" is when you start to say, all right, I'm a little bit, but I'm there with them also. You know what I'm saying? Being small and still controlling the game is not easy. Yeah, and there's a lot of number one picks in it. If Cade Cunningham wins the if Cade Cunningham wins the series, then there'll be three number one picks. There'll be three number one picks in the finals. I don't even know if there's ever been three number one picks in the conference finals the way these GMs and owners pick number one picks. Some of the number one picks that have been picked in recent times or even a little further back are crazy. And I don't want to start naming them. They I don't know if they'll get wind of this podcast, this live, but I don't want to name every number one pick that stunk it up. You get what I mean? You know who they are. You know what I'm saying? But I was gonna say something. Give me 1 second. Oh, that's what I wanted to mention. All right, so some of you guys, I don't know if you know that Victor Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren really don't like each other. So I'm gonna give you a little glimpse of a guy who did a video. Oh, matter of fact, it's my man Jimmy High Roller. I believe that's how you're supposed to say the name of his channel, but he's got a hell of a hoops channel. You know, I respect him a lot as a content creator. And he was one of the people that I started watching, you know, that I looked at YouTube like it was, you know, good to watch because of guys like him. So I'm gonna share a little bit of the Victor Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren video. Just give me 1 second. All right, I believe this is it. Yeah, I'm gonna share this right now with you guys. Give me 1 second. All right, I'm gonna start it right here because this should give you a pretty good idea of where it starts. Let me change it to the correct layout. All right, and now I'm gonna share it with you guys. I found this to be very interesting. When you get a chance, check out the Jimmy High Roller video. The title is How a 5-Year-Old Beef Destroyed the Greatest Season in NBA History. And let me share this real quick. Yo, people, if you come in, feel free. Drop some comments, man. Drop a ton of comments. Talk about anything in NBA you want to talk about. I don't care if it's Rucker Park, street hoops. You know, I mess with that too. You know. All right, hold on 1 second. Just want to make sure it's the right video. Full screen it. All right, so what you guys are gonna witness, because it's already locked that the Thunder are gonna play the Spurs. This is a glimpse of what you don't. A lot of people don't know that this rivalry is crazy, and they're gonna be going at each other extra hard. So take a glimpse at this video so you can know what you're about to watch.
Both slim, lengthy big men with offensive games far too sharp for their size and NBA-ready defensive instincts. Who's better? Who is the rarer unicorn? By the end of this game, those questions were answered. Victor Wembanyama was clearly a step above everyone else.
Here comes Wembanyama. Remahi Balu gets inside. Missed. Oh, and Wembanyama there for the putback.
I think Victor Wembanyama is better than Chet Holmgren, but I think Chet Holmgren being a third option on the Thunder after Jalen Williams and Shai hides how great he is. And it's you know, to have a rivalry with Wembanyama, you got to be something special. You can't be a third option. So the like I said, I think Wembanyama is better, but I think Chet Holmgren is super underrated, and that we're gonna see him become a better player than he is.
Hallelujah! Wembanyama, how did you lose sight of him?
On the lane.
Miles spins, gets rejected by Wembanyama. Miller, and now he gets rejected. And puts it up, and he is fouled. Every possession for Wembanyama for three. Kickaboo drives in on the follow from Wembanyama. And Lofton, and this time rejected. Can't on it.
It's another tough shot attempt to it.
Miles, he gets blocked by Wembanyama.
Now, even though he's going nuts, the game is close.
despite being the youngest player on the court and finishing the game with 22, 8, and 8. As very visibly the best player on the floor, Team USA narrowly edged out France, beating them 81-83. And to add insult to injury,
this is also why Victor Wembanyama is scary. And I mean scary in a good way. Look, I hope you don't take it that serious. You get what I mean? But, I mean, he really is crushed when he loses. Look at his reaction when he realizes they're going to lose.
Hand on it.
It's another tough shot attempt to it.
Miles, he gets blocked by Wembanyama.
Despite being the youngest player on the court and finishing the game with 22, 8, and 8, as very visibly the best player on the floor, Team USA narrowly edged out France, beating them 81-83. And to add insult to injury, the tournament MVP was none other than Chet Holmgren.
Wow, you seen him bite the shirt? That's insane. I don't even know if I've seen a person. Yo, he lost. He grabbed his shirt and went, and I've been mad over basketball before. I really love hoops. I could play too, I'm not like these dudes, you know what I'm saying? But I get busy and yeah, man, I know what that feeling's like. I've football punted the basketball, out of the basketball court into the baseball field. You know what I'm saying? And even worse than that, to be honest with you, not to sully the live, but I've gotten into beef where it was real serious, where things got really crazy over, I was a sore loser. This is a long time ago. This is 30 years ago. But about 30 years ago, I lost, and I couldn't take that I lost. And these kids from a block in Bushwick, that's no joke, they had next, and I tried to say, nah, I had next, even though they had just finished watching me playing. It was some real bozo stuff on my part. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of the things in my life I'm not proud of. It definitely don't reflect who I am. I'm the polar opposite of that. But these were the things that helped me learn that nobody likes a bozo, nobody likes a creep, nobody likes a hater, nobody likes anybody grimy. And people could have got hurt bad that night, even, unalive. You get what I'm saying? It got real. And thank God, what's even wilder? One of the dudes' name that we got into the problem with over my dumb stuff, his name is Crazy. And you would think that, with a name like Crazy, he's some bugged out dude. No. He's a very honorable person. He was the reason it didn't escalate. He made sure everything was handled very smoothly. And I salute Crazy, from Bushwick. He knows who he is. I don't want to say Cruz and blocks and everything, but he knows who he is, and I have the utmost respect for that man. I hope he's doing okay today. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I know the kind of frustration he went through, and my frustration was over a pickup game. This man is playing to be the best player in the world in leagues and that I would never seen, never would see. You get what I'm saying? People kill themselves to get where he's at. So I get the biting the shirt. You know what I'm saying? I really do. So, but let's keep watching how serious this rivalry is between Chet and Victor Wembanyama. Let me check the comments real quick. All right. So let's keep going.
And be having to settle for a silver medal and a spot on the all-tournament team. Now, for most players on the brink of a promising NBA career, this entire tournament would be non-consequential, irrelevant within a few months. But Victor Wembanyama isn't like most players. As the awards were being handed out, Victor could be seen with a look of almost disgust. If you didn't know any better, you'd think France came in dead last by the way Victor handled this loss. Moping around, head down, dragging his feet, disinterested in the whole thing. Appalled even that they didn't win the tournament and he didn't win MVP. A moment that Victor Wembanyama recalls as the worst basketball memory of his life, saying, quote, "Just thinking about it makes my jaw clench. It's a regret. An unfilled hole inside me that I have to fix."
and it's what we needed. The NBA world was a hungry superstar, right? But not just hungry. He came in the form of a 7'4" point guard. That's insane. I mean, if you're a basketball fan, your dreams came true when Victor Wembanyama came along, and he wasn't that tall guy that always ends up looking clumsy or not being as good as he's projected. No. You know, the only thing that's stopping this is injury, and I pray to God that this man does not suffer any injury, at least for a long time. I know injuries come with the game. Wembanyama, I hope he don't get injured at least 15 years into his career, you know, because he's the unicorn. He's the real, true unicorn. And the only thing that can stop this man is injury, you know, and I'm rooting for him.
This quote is borderline concerning. These are not the words of a kid ready to just forget and move on to a bright NBA career. Unbeknownst to him, Chet Holmgren created a void in the career of the best basketball prospect on the planet. And by any means necessary, Victor was going to spend the next half decade filling that void.
Do you think this candle will cover up my friend's overpowering cologne?
Impossible. Hey, do you mind paying? All I have are nickels.
Not at all.
Do you change for a nickel?
Unlimited 2% cash rewards on purchases. The Active Cash credit card from Wells Fargo. Terms apply.
It's been difficult. I have so many lectures that I have to.
You know, big shout out to Jimmy High Roller. You know, he's been one of my favorites for a long time on YouTube. Go check his channel out. I'm gonna play a little more too. Let's get past these commercials
And understand from my classes. Using Lens and Chrome makes it all simple.
By the start of the 2023-24 NBA season, Chet,
I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit.
it should not have meant anything at all. And it didn't mean anything to anyone besides Chet and Wemby. Both
It's a preseason game.
of them going suspiciously hard in a preseason game in early October. Despite a few viral moments from Wemby, the Thunder came back and won the game. And it was Chet who outplayed Victor in just about every measurable way. And in the very first public stoking of the fire, Chet tweeted,
This is what I want to tell you. Look at that form on both of them. But Chet Holmgren, look at his form when he releases the ball. He's got a pure jump shot, and he's pretty tall. He can be a unicorn also. It could be where the first time we're going to see, you know, rivalries like Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Well, there's a chance we're going to see a rivalry in the form of 2 7-footers that play like point guards. You know, that's a beautiful thing.
early October. Despite a few viral moments from Wemby, the Thunder came back and won the game. And it was Chet who outplayed Victor in just about every measurable way. And in the very first public stoking of the fire, Chet tweeted this after the game. As if Victor needed any more motivation, as if the kid that was left with a hole inside him that needed to be fixed needed any more fuel to the fire, Chet Holmgren just doused it with a gallon of gasoline in front of.
Listen, the headbutt, you know, he got mad, so he mentioned it, but it wasn't something that should have stoked the fire that much. But you got to remember, you know, a lot of people don't know how absolutely hungry Victor Wembanyama is.
Of the entire world. And thus, this rivalry officially began. In his post-game interview, Chet was asked about his budding rivalry with Wemby, to which he had this to say.
I know you and Victor have been connected for years, even though you haven't played against each other very much. And he just was saying that he thinks this is going to be the
Sounds like Brian Windhorst.
start of a lot of really good games against each other. Do you feel that way?
100%. You know, I played against him a couple years ago in FIBA, and you know, I plan to play a long time, and I'm sure he does too. So there'll be no choice but to, you know, go back and forth. So,
and he was right. There has, in fact, been no choice but to go back and forth. Even before their first regular season matchup, their relationship was already being labeled as the makings of NBA's next intense rivalry.
Now, the crazy thing is, right, is that this ended up coming to fruition. Like, they really literally ended up, they're about to play each other in about a couple of days. And what you're going to see is the ferociousness, at least from Wembanyama, that a lot of people don't see often. And then the even more crazier thing is that it's going to be coming from a 7'4" monster, you know, and in a good way, you know what I'm saying? So all right, now I wanted to talk about something else. Give me 1 second, people. Wemby's health is everything, man. If Wemby stays healthy, he's gonna win chips. You know, Donovan Mitchell came out in 2017. You know, really, honestly, not only does history dictate that Donovan Mitchell's gonna win tomorrow because he went up 3-2, he's also been in the league for about 8 or 9 years, and that's usually when people make their breakthrough. So, you know, really, honestly, if they ask me who's going to win, I would say the Cavaliers. But there's just something about Cade Cunningham. And you got to remember, too, that record, that 60-22 record, that's not a record to sneeze at. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, if I was a betting man, I would bet on the Cavs to win Game 7. It's just what it is. All right. And that's with Evan Mobley being the defensive player of the year. That's with Jared Allen being another amazing defensive player, and him having a Hall of Famer in James Harden. And I also wanted to tell you people, yeah, Harden is got a little bit of a stomach. You get what I'm saying? It's very light, very small. Most people would be happy to be in that shape. You get what I mean? I would, you know. But the one thing is that James Harden never really relied on being super athletic anyway. This is a man that created dribble moves while he was in the NBA. Dribble moves we never seen before, you know. You know, I've seen him do sidestep jumpers when nobody was doing them. I've seen him, you know, my point is that James Harden is not the guy that needs to be super athletic and flying. James Harden is literally a dribble and shoot killer. So, and he's a great passer and rebounder, you know. So, yeah, don't sleep on James Harden. A lot of people, James Harden is a touch out of shape, but he's not over the hill. So don't get the two confused. Father Time has not come for James Harden yet. But he could be in a little bit better shape. You know what I'm saying? Definitely wanted to bring up James Harden and how he's not over the hill. That's where people get it messed up. But he could be in better shape. But he's the guy you don't want to sleep on because he's a torturous ball handler and shooter. You know, and he's a hell of an assist man and a rebounder. He does it all. You got to remember, he averaged 34 points a game one year. Not everybody can average 34 points per game. I looked it up the other day. How many players? I'm going to look it up right now while y'all are here. How many NBA players have averaged 34? How many NBA players have averaged 34 points per game for the whole season or more? All right, you know what? I didn't have to say the whole thing. Only 7 players in NBA history have averaged 34 or more points per game in a single season. So he's among 7 players. Don't count the Cavaliers out. I know the Pistons look more sexy, I guess, to people. The 60-22 record. You know, the fact that they got Cade Cunningham running the point. But don't sleep on. You forget who Donovan Mitchell is. Donovan Mitchell's a superstar. Donovan Mitchell was a superstar before Jason Tatum, who came out in the same draft. Donovan Mitchell, the minute he came into the NBA, he went straight to work. Spider Mitchell, you know what I'm saying? Put some spec on his name. All right. Let me see what else I was gonna bring up real quick. You know, the Knicks going after it, the Thunder's going after it, the Spurs are going after it, and we're gonna see who between the Cavaliers and the Pistons make it out. And then we'll have our four. You know, drop a comment. Let me know who you think will win everything. I would love to know right now, even while there's, you know, because it's really a 15 because they're even at 3-3. So really there's 5 teams left. If you see this part, let me know who you think is going to win the whole playoffs. Drop a comment and say, yo, my prediction is so-and-so is going to win the playoffs. You can even drop why, you know, and a comment be greatly appreciated. I've been going through a lot of things with YouTube. I've started to get my rhythm, you know, and I have big plans for my channel. And I'm not the kind of person that flakes out. So, you know, show me, you know, believe in me. And show me some love, man. I could use some subscriptions, some likes, some comments, you know, some retention, man. Like, you know, don't click on my video and then change to another video quickly. That hurts people's channels a lot. You know, stick around for a second, see what I'm talking about, you know, and yeah, man, we watching the changing of the guard, man. You know, that's what I really wanted people to understand, that it's not LeBron no more. It's not Steph Curry. It's not, you know, it's not Dwayne Wade. It's not Kobe Bryant. It's not, may he rest in peace. It's not Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant. We're waiting to see Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jason Tatum, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. One of those guys get their second ring, and or we might see a new ring winner. You know, it might not be where SGA was built to win 2 in a row. I'm just saying, if you look at history dictates that there's going to be a multiple ring winner coming soon. That's a fact. You know what I'm saying? Who it is, I'm thinking SGA, really, but I can't think like that because I got to hope that the Knicks waxes his ass. You get what I mean? And not even gotta. I want the Knicks to wax his ass. You know, and like I said, too, I got a lot of bread invested in this. You know what I'm saying? That's Shai right there. Now, if I got more Shays than I do Knicks, financially, I would want the Thunder to win. But I don't. I want the Knicks to win. I don't give a shit about my collection when it comes to New York City like that. You know? I wanted to show you some Wembys, man. You know, I got some nice Wembys. But I couldn't locate them. I guess they're in a box that I couldn't really locate at the moment. But I made sure to get Wemby's before he blew up. You know, I had people telling me that he was too slim. He's not going to hold up. He's frail. He's going to break. You know, but the crazy thing is that I had got a glimpse of him going like this and showing his 6-pack or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But the man is chiseled like an Olympian. So for everybody out there that thinks, that has this misconception of Wembanyama being weak, you're crazy. You're crazy. Wembanyama strong. And this is what I'm telling you that's really scary about Wembanyama. He's 7'4". He plays like a true guard, not like has some of the things a guard has, like a jump shot, a little bit of a dribble. No, this is a 7'4" man, and he's as graceful. I never could have thought that a man this height could have been this graceful. But this is what I'm telling you. A lot of the big men fill out. Like I remember when Jermaine O'Neal was skinny, and then all of a sudden he came in muscle bound. If Wembanyama gets a wider frame and it's all muscle, no body fat, and he gets brolic, it's over. If he doesn't get injured and he gets muscle weight on him, it's over. I believe he'll win multiple rings for sure. You know what I'm saying? Feel bad for this man. That's Joel Embiid. Like I said, he's always and like I said too, I've seen him do like stuff I don't like, but that don't mean that I'll be praying for him to lose. I don't pray for nobody's downfall. I just wanted to come up here and talk to you about the playoffs real quick. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of it all, I want the Knicks to win, but if it's not the Knicks, I want to see SGA get his second ring. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna leave it on that note. Listen, man, it's your boy Spank Dog. You already know what it is, man. Much love, real love. You know what I'm saying? I'm out of here. One.